Hello, world. Welcome to Comic Book News. I'm your old pal, Dan Shaheen. Today, we've got, what do we got? Wow, a veteran of the $1 Million Mailbox. This is one of the first guys to send me in a full copy of his Kickstarted graphic novel pitch, anyway, and I supported that pitch, and it came to fruition. It was called Fey Archaic. Okay, I did a full review of it. You can find it. Maybe I'll link to it. Maybe look up there, down there, somewhere, and I'll put a link to it. Anyway, really great stuff. I enjoyed the art especially. The story was very interesting too, but it was almost more of an illustrated prose approach to comics in what it was. And I'm just a word balloon kind of panel to panel kind of guy. So I was really excited to see him announce his new project, Galacto Pit Fighter. We're going to talk to Kirt Burdick extremely soon, but first a little bit of show business. If you want to see your comics here on the $1 Million Mailbox, on the $1 Million Comics Cam, where do you send them? You send them to the $1 Million Mailbox. It's P.O. Box 1163, Arcata, California. Beautiful Arcata, California, 95518. Send those comics in. I read them. I spread them out on the $1 Million Comics Cam. I bring in my pal Larry Young from AIT Planet Lair. And he kind of looks at them cold. I read it. He looks at it cold. I pitch it to him. You get the God's honest truth straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. If you haven't already, please consider clicking that subscribe button down there. If you're not a subscriber, we've had a lot of subscriber growth lately. We need to keep that up. We need to keep spreading our mission of comics for everybody. Speaking of which, we got to go talk to Kirt Burdick. But this is not the appropriate venue. I feel like we have to take it into the, well, you know where.
To the bat post.
That's right, into the Bat Cave. And, this has become sort of my de facto home. And I think this is the place, the place I feel the most comfortable, because really this was my introduction to superheroes, was the Batman TV show. When I was a kid, that brought me to superheroes. Batman brought me to comics, and then the rest is just sickening nerd obsessive history. So this place is really special to me. It tends to be my default, but I'm trying to branch out. We got other places that we could go. We'll be going there in future episodes. In fact, I got something really, really so exciting coming soon. It's hard to even talk about. I've talked about it. I've hinted at it a little bit before. I was talking to Kirt before about the wonderfulness that will be Mother Box. Okay, it's coming soon. An amazing comic themed game show experience that's not for the whole family. It's for you, right? It's for you, the comic nerd. So without any further ado, I want to bring in today's guest, because we don't have a ton of time, but we got enough, I think, to talk about his awesome stuff. Let's bring to the stream for the first time live, Kirt Burdick. Welcome, Kirt.
Hello.
Hey now.
It's me.
Yeah,
I'm on here. Thank you.
Your name has been thrown around. You've watched it. You've commented. You've sent me comics. You sent me. I backed your Kickstarter, and you came through on time. Fae Archaic was a lot of fun.
Thank you. Awesome.
You shop at Mission Art and Comics in the Mission in San Francisco. Leaf Smith, the owner of that, is a friend and a sponsor of the show. So, tell us about what's so great about Mission Comics. Tell me what's so great about that store.
Mission Comics is it's I don't know. Leaf is a really great guy, and he has a really good collection. And
I find stuff there that I don't find anywhere else. I mean, every store, I could say that of every store in the city, but his in particular, I find stuff that I really love: the small press, the indie, the obscure. Yeah,
no, it has a really good variety of books, and he has original art on display.
Yeah, he's a big supporter. He's a big supporter of the scene, and he's how I heard about you and everything else. How did you get started cartooning?
Oh, cartooning? Well, it's something I've done like
Hey man,
since I was a kid. You know, so it was just one of those things where I'd watch a movie and then I'd want to recreate that film, and I'd just start drawing and kind of reimagining like how I would, certain things I would rather have had it been done differently. Like I think the earliest one was like James Bond. I think I saw For Your Eyes Only because I'm old, and and yeah, and I think
that was your. So that was
my first. That was my. I was too young to watch this movie, but that was my first one. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was Roger Moore, and it just blew my mind. There was like a half-naked woman in the credit scene. I was like, what? This is supposed to be the title. It just, I didn't, and then I went home and I drew my own James Bond comic, and I don't have it anymore. I lost it, but.
So what was the comic?
That was
what made you go like I got to turn this into a comic? What were you reading as comics as a kid? What was like Kurt's comic?
As a kid, nothing too special at that time. Again, it was actually more of like a storybook, so it would just be like one page.
I see.
And then I'd write like he shot Jaws.
Okay.
Then I should draw it. Like, hey guys, look at it. He shot Jaws, and be like, yeah, he did. And but yeah, when I was a real little kid, like it was just like someone gives me a Superman comic, Batman comic, or something like that. I didn't really get into it. I think my first comic I like bought with like a decision, thinking about it, was RX Son of Thunder, and it was I don't know if you remember that one. It was,
I do.
And it was because it was Conan with a mohawk, and I was like, yeah, Mom, they got to get it. That's I was so surprised they could improve Conan with the mohawk, and I was just
it's up, right?
That. And then I got some of the Michael Golden Micronauts, and I was like, that was just fantastic. And this is all like when they had the racks. This is like
7-Eleven or whatever stuff. Yeah.
So you just either got lucky and found something cool, or you didn't. And then the next comic that I was like really into, that I made an effort to collect, was Strike Force Martori. We are about to die. Strike Force Martori.
Brett Anderson pencils.
Yeah, I don't. I just remember the comic. I have it, but I haven't looked at it in a while. But
a favorite. That was a favorite of mine as a kid at the when it was coming out on the shelves. For sure.
No, it was fantastic, and it came out right before, the big tentpole books of the generation. About a year or 2 years before like Dark Knight and Watchmen, but it was also an introduction to that dark take on the superhero. Let me show you my haircut. And wanted to show it off.
I think I'm going to join you.
Yeah,
with rolling horseshoes.
It looks beautiful. It looks fantastic.
Speaking of looking fantastic, Kurt, I think we're sitting here talking about comics. We're talking about your stuff. This show is not just about talking; it's about looking. So, I think it's about time that we check. Do you know how we look at comics here? Do you know what we call this thing?
What is it?
Oh, we call it the $1 Million Comics Cam. Hey-o. All right, $1 million, make you holler, Comics Cam.
So I get $1 million now, Sandy?
You don't. It cost me $1 million in labor to build this thing.
It's an investment, you know.
Well, we're hoping that's going to pay rich dividends soon enough. So I want to first look at, this is our second Frog comic in as many weeks. I like yours a little bit better than the last Frog comic I reviewed, I think. Yeah. Beautiful. Here's the signed and numbered book plate that I got for being a backer of this Kickstarter. A really nice touch. Let me zoom in on this so people can get a look at what Kirt is laying down and what really excited me about this project. Your art is really fun to look at, and your stories are wild as well. Like you took the dark side of fairies, which is, we're used to seeing that a little bit these days, but you took it to kind of a nastier place for sure, and I really like that. I wish it was a little more in focus, though. I want to see if I can help out with that. Oh, that's as good as we're gonna get zoomed in. Sorry,
that's fine.
But I loved your book. I backed it. But like I said, as you see here, it's captioned. It's definitely panel to panel storytelling, and it's really good. I liked your color palette, your page layouts, and just everything. All the choices you made were thoughtful. But no dialogue and not much. I believe maybe there's one or two word. Why was this? Was obviously a conscious choice. So what was the decision? Why that decision?
Well, it's earlier, like a couple months before I started this project, or maybe a year, Fantagraphics started publishing the Prince Valiant reprints. They've been doing these beautiful collections of Prince Valiant, and I got kind of fascinated by that adventure strip format, because in Prince Valiant, it's there are also no word balloons. It's all the word, all the dialogue is just within the narration caption. It was such a kind of a weird form, especially for a modern reader to get into. And the artwork was just so beautiful. And I started to notice, like, each page of a Prince Valiant book would be equivalent in the level of information that you would actually get out of that page would be equivalent to a monthly comic, especially a modern monthly comic. Like, but it would all be like condensed. And I had a lot of backstory in this comic, like a lot of world building that would be lost if I just told it in a traditional comic sense. So, I just wanted to see if I could take that adventure strip format and compress one of my stories. The other reason was because I'm a slow artist. I'm not fast, and that's something I'm really trying to work on. I'm trying to speed up, and also maintain something that I like, at least somewhat like, and I thought, like, I could use this style of comic, the adventure strip, to tell a dense story in a short amount of time. Of course, it took me way long to finish this. So that was the thinking. And I was thinking, like, maybe I could use word balloons for a specific scene to see if that will create more of an emotional impact, because if you have that rhythm of, okay, so now I'm just reading the dialogue and the narration, the narration boxes. If there is a scene where suddenly you're reading in the word balloons and it's, then I was hoping that it would have a little bit more impact than, to have it pop. But, I don't think.
I'm sorry. Tell me also. I want to understand. Like, you're really into like a certain era I don't know, with Civil War era. Like I see a lot of that in your stuff. And it's interesting because most of the time when you see fairy tale stuff, it's got more of a sort of a European influence, and your stuff almost seems more like sort of maybe like an American version of those things. I don't know if that's conscious or unconscious
it wasn't necessarily conscious, but I was looking a lot of like Edwardian and Victorian fashion. And I did also look at a lot of Civil War photos for like, but yeah, that turn of the century, I was really looking at a lot of that turn of the century time period,
turn of the 19th century, really.
Right. Yeah. So, I did initially when I was thinking about the story, I was thinking of putting it in the, the Middle Ages type motif,
yes.
or the Renaissance style of, world
which is
building.
great, but we've seen lots of that.
Yeah. So I thought like, maybe like, one, the fairies are lizard fairies. So they're like evolved from lizards in the story. And I thought like it'd be interesting to have like almost a steampunk influence on it, to where the fashion is different. So it's still a magical society that's using alchemy and wizardry, for lack of a better word, for their technology. But it's, it's like structurally a society that's on the verge of modernization.
Yes.
Pre-industrial
or dawn of the industrial era. I love that combination with mythology. And that's okay. We're not even here to talk about Fey Archaic. This is available. This is $20, right? You can get this. Where could people get this right now if they want to get it?
Well, right now it's just, I have it also for sale on my new Kickstarter. And then after this Kickstarter is done, I'm going to try to set up an online space to where you can actually buy my work. But for right now, that's the only place to get it.
Okay. How about Mission Comics Art? Don't they have a copy?
Yeah, Mission Comics has it, and I think Isotope has a couple. Isotope's in Hayes Valley.
Yeah, James Time. I know James. He's a good guy.
And James has helped out a lot with this book too. And then the other two places, I'm still learning this whole marketing and salesmanship stuff. But I was able to, this book's not in there, but I did mini comics of this while I was making it.
Oh, okay.
I would do, like I said, it take a long time. So I thought like, okay, I'll do these like little mini comics, which are mini in page number, but are large. They're like magazine size, but they're usually 8 to 12 pages. Some of those are in the Fantagraphics store. I talked them in.
Do you know a guy named Tony Shenton? Have you ever heard of Tony Shenton?
No.
Okay, we got to get you in touch. I'm going to put you in touch with Tony Shenton.
Oh, that's great.
He's an indie rep. He reps indie comics, and he calls all the comic shops, and he's got a catalog of guys like you in there. I think I gotta reach out to Tony, maybe bring him on the show. It just occurred to me.
Cool. And then I also got those mini ones are in Quimby's.
Okay,
that's it.
So you can get it. Go talk to Leaf. You can find this thing.
Yeah, Leaf has a couple copies I know for a fact right now. So if you're in the Bay Area, you can go there right now and pick it up.
Okay. But then Kirt saw our review. He saw my modest critique about word balloons, and he's like, "Okay, I'm putting word balloons on the cover. I'm going back to who am I going back to? Like a Joe Kubert style 60s DC cover with word balloons on the cover." The second I saw this, you tell me if this is an influence or not. The second I see this, I see, and maybe it's your name, the spelling of your name too, because I think Bob Burden, Flaming Carrot.
Oh.
There's just a something to it, maybe to your art style, and maybe just the bizarreness of this comic. So I don't know, are you a fan?
I am a fan of Flaming Carrot, but it wasn't something I was thinking about when I was drawing this.
Yeah.
But I like that.
As far as absurdist
influence, I'll take that.
For
sure.
I gotta bring in this guy for a second.
Oh yeah,
nice. This is one. I got two of these. You can get these. Look with the custom frame. Wow. Yeah, wonderful.
That's fantastic, man.
So, anyway, let's stop talking about me. We're here to talk about your stuff. I just love it. The feel of this. Now, what is this that I'm holding, though? Tell everybody what we're looking at.
That's the preview. That's the first 12-page preview. So for the Kickstarter comic, that's not going to be the cover. That's actually just the first page and the 12th page. And I just, turned it into the cover, to get like a full kind of the first arc of the comic. I mean, I think it would work as a front cover.
It's a great. I just love it. I love this object alone. Like I would buy this thing for sure.
Awesome. Thank you, man. So I was getting a little. Let me ask you about this. I've been having this internal debate of.
And I'm just going to leaf through this as we talk about it.
Go ahead. Between folded comics and prestige format, perfect bound comics.
Saddle stitch versus perfect bound.
Yeah, because I mean, I like both are great. They both are fantastic. But with the staple bound, you can open it up and you can be immersed in the story. Whereas with the perfect bound, there's that limit. It's pinched. It's pinched at the seams. So, what do you think about that?
Not many people care about that. I care deeply. I care more deeply about that than I care about who's the president of the United States. I care about this topic. Okay.
No, I think it's important.
It is. This is better. This is superior.
Really?
This is superior in every way to me. When I want to read, the best way to read a comic is just like this. That's why the $1 Million Comics Cam is this way. Because if I read a comic, this is how I'm reading it.
Especially I want to be able to double spread.
Exactly. And to negate the power of that double page spread takes away one of the huge weapons that the comic artist has in their arsenal of not just being able to go, half panel, full page, but to go double page spread with no gutter is, I don't know, it's a powerful, dramatic device in cartoon.
Have you read Brandon Graham's Rain Like Hammers? It's it's awesome. Let me
bring it out.
See, I'm a big fan, and just being able to have that spread, I can just open it up all the way, and he does everything with a full bleed, and that just it really gets you immersed in the book. But
here's the drawback. There's a reason though why. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, please. Keep going.
Oh no. That was another book I'm really into right now is Ultra Mega, and I guess that's my only complaint about it. I can't open it all the way.
Yeah,
but it's also very beautiful too. So
here's the thing too. It's something I've been
thinking about.
Well, but you could take that issue of Ultra Mega and you could put it on a bookshelf, right?
Yeah,
because
the
spine will show. And if we're talking about saleability of an object and shelf life of an object, of a comic in a store setting, or just the power of seeing a book on somebody else's bookshelf that you like their other comics and your comic is there and the spine is there,
that's true.
There's a marketing aspect to it.
Yeah.
I wish I knew the right answer. I think the right answer is, honestly, I think it's this. I think it's single page comics should be done this way, and then they can be collected into graphic novels with a spine.
Yeah. I kind of like that too, just because it keeps the uniqueness. It keeps a unique quality to the single issues.
Oh yes, and that's
Yeah.
really important too for a couple reasons too. Like, as anybody who eschews collectability just does not live in reality. That people like to collect things, and they like
That's true.
variations, and they like little differences. They like a letters page if there was a letters page in here, or something that you wouldn't get. A little back matter, back cover that's not going to be collected necessarily. It's just and it's just a great thing to hold. Like, this is an object that I will obsess over, but not everybody will.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I'm the same way, and it's just something I've been thinking about, and like, I have like these like little debates in my head about, like, why are things perfect bound?
There's not always a good reason. There's not.
I mean,
sometimes I think it's because people read Dark Knight Returns when they were a kid, and like that's that's what they want.
I mean, Dark Knight Returns was an amazing experience, but I don't think, does Dark Knight Returns have a double spread in it? I don't think it does. Yeah, it's that 9. So
I think it had it.
Does it?
I think it might have. I mean, I might be. That's a great.
I need to look at it.
I should know the answer to, but I don't know.
Yeah,
Geez, oh man! If only I had copies of Dark Knight Returns within arm's reach of me.
Do you?
If only I had copies of the Dark Knight Return perfect bound comics.
Is that what you used to pay for the $1 million comic can?
So I thought there was maybe a double page spread, but I'm like,
think so.
I don't think. I think you're right. I was thinking this, but no, it's not.
It's not. I mean, it's designed, as a double spread, but there's not an actual double spread in the entire book, I don't think. I mean,
interesting. And you know what? Miller is just the kind of guy to realize that if this is perfect bound, then double page spreads maybe are not the way to go.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
He would have thought about that, I think. Anyway, tell us again. We're off topic. But let's get into exactly. Give me the elevator pitch for Galacto Pit Fighter.
Man. You know what? I am awful with elevator pitches.
Give me the escalator. Give me the escalator pitch.
Let's workshop it. Okay.
Yeah.
So Galacto Pit Fighter. Here we go. Are you ready?
Yes.
So basically, it's I wanted to do a monster comic, and actually, like, before the nightmare of last year happened, I was having a little bit of a rough time, just normal life shit, and I decided I'm going to make a comic about these space Satanists that are trying to collapse the universe by destroying heroes and by destroying these heroes, it's going to create a society, the entire planet, in depression, and they're going to use that psychic depression and funnel it into this giant black hole in the middle of the universe that's going to cause the entire universe to collapse. That's their plan. And then I built it up from there to where the space Satanists became the Satanonauts, and they choose their Antichrist, their champion, which is who they christen or anti-christen Galacto. And then I had the image in my head of a little girl seeing them get this monster, which is roughly influenced from Frankenstein. So it's kind of influenced from Frankenstein's monster. So they, for whatever reason, they think this creature is their Antichrist, and they start, UFO kidnapping it. And this little girl sees it, and she goes, "Oh, it's an angel." because she doesn't know what it is. And it's set in the Napoleonic era, towards the end of the Napoleonic War in Germany. And I just went with that. Like I saw that image of the little girl seeing this UFO abduct a monster and thinking it's an angel. I thought, yeah, that's the type of story I want to tell. So,
And well, tell us a little bit about this guy.
So it's the whole thing. When I was writing it, I was kind of thinking of a kind of a Sam Raimi approach to the storytelling, which means, campy, basically horror and camp. So I could flip back from horror to comedy, but I mean he's the son of the main character, or not the main character, the father character, Dolph. And Dolph is this basically a failed soldier. And when I was doing a little bit of research on, the Napoleonic War in Germany, I came across the Black Brunswickers. I might have said that wrong. I apologize if I did. And so I made him like a veteran of the Black Brunswickers. Sorry, sometimes I stutter. But he got injured. He lost his leg. He, had a family to support. So he ends up selling his musket, his bayonet, and his son is developmentally delayed. He's, he's disabled, but he wants that son to become a soldier so he can make money off of him, because he can't make any money, at the time. So he's having his daughter try to figure out how to get some type of weapon that the army's going to accept him, and I really wanted to have a story where Galacto fights a knight character. So a little bit of the backstory is that Gretchen, in the same, like earlier on, maybe like 2 or 3 months earlier, found a suit of armor in this abandoned castle, and told her dad about it, and they got it. So they went to the French military to see if, like, hey, or the German military, say, hey, he has a suit of armor now. Do you want to take him? And they're like, no, I can't. We can't take him. This is modern. This is modern warfare. We got muskets. So now she's trying to find a dead soldier to steal the musket. And while she's doing that, she sees the UFO.
To give to the submoronic son, so that they can, because he's too stupid to be in an army, but in the old army. But now that they got guns, maybe it's a little more.
Well, yeah. So that's like the goal of the father, and it's also, it's definitely a dysfunctional family. It's kind of a messed up family. So this first story is kind of as a subtext of abuse. So it's kind of about being in abusive situations. And,
okay, so tell me, what's the publishing plan here, and what do we get? What are you promising?
Oh, well, you can check it out on the Kickstarter. But the first issue, and I think each issue I'm going to be using this template, is each issue is going to be 40 pages of story, and you're getting the first, story. And each story, I'm going to try to design it to be, each story is going to be a continuation of a larger story, but each story is also going to be a standalone story. So in this first one, it's really about Gretchen, which is the name of the daughter, Gretchen Wolfenbottle, and it's about kind of, just like the worst day a kid could probably experience, at least in my comic. But yeah, so it's about, her and Galacto meeting and kind of just introducing the world, introducing the Satanonauts, and trying to set a vibe. I don't want to give too much away about the story, but yeah, so that's where it starts. I finished writing the script for the second issue, and I started drawing it. But yeah, that's the plan. So
so tell me what we're looking at here. Preview. I'm sorry, Matt. Going on. The preview issue that we can look at. Is that the delivered final product that people, okay?
It's the first 12 pages.
Yes.
Yeah. So
eventually 40-page
40
saddle stitch, though you've decided, or you're undecided.
Well, probably. I'm still debating that. I have a stretch goal of making it perfect bound, but I might just add back material instead of it being perfect bound.
I see.
So, I probably will do that. But you make a really good point about the marketability of being on the shelf with the perfect bound. So that's, I don't know.
I wish I knew the answer to that. I almost feel like that's almost a bum steer by me, because not that many people I know put their perfect bound comics on a bookshelf.
Yeah.
Not many. Not many do. Most bag and board them anyway, and throw them in a box or something.
So I mean, these stories. What I'm doing right now, it's going to be a long time before they're going to be collected into anything.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, I take a long time to draw this.
How long does it take you to do 40 pages? What's your?
Well, I'm doing. Unfortunately, I'm doing everything. So it took me about a year to knock this out. I mean, maybe a little under a year. So my goal right now is to get the second issue done by the beginning of next year. It could, it might be every year coming out, but hopefully I'll get to a point where I can actually get assistance to help. If I had, a team of like a colorist and maybe just maybe not a full colorist or something, because I get pretty picky about certain things, but just assistance, to help out here and there. I could definitely get it done faster, but it's going to be a while before I can realistically hire anybody, especially with, now that I'm looking at my image on the screen with this haircut, who would want to work with me?
Well, the other option is a publisher. Have you shopped it around? Have you talked to publishers?
Right now things are so tough and I was thinking of actually putting a comic book, a store tier on this one, but things are so tough for comic book stores and publishers right now. I just said, I'm gonna wait. When I submitted Fae Archaic, I heard back from one publisher, which was great. I mean, they said they weren't going to publish it, but they did say they liked it, so that was awesome.
You want to name the publisher?
Top Shelf responded back to me. I can't remember the name of the person. I have it written down.
If you're going to hear maybe Chris Staros from
I can't say, Yeah. I just remember
one of my all-time favorite publisher of my all-time favorite graphic novel, From Hell. So
From Hell is fantastic. And you must have read Monsters, the new Barry Windsor Smith.
I was the first person on YouTube to review it, but only the PDF. I don't have a physical copy yet.
Don't have a physical copy, man. You got to get it.
I mean, I read it. Or I read it. It was given to me for free as PDF. I'm gonna find it. It'll be out on the I want to see it in a store and touch it. That's how I like to buy my books, and I have yet to see it anywhere.
Oh, really? Well, yeah, no, it's very much worth it. I'd put it in the same category as From Hell in importance. I mean, I prefer the story in From Hell's. It's different story writing. You know, it's slightly different, but I would put it in that same. It would easily be right next to it.
So, I have to check it. I have to reread it again, and I have to read it in paper.
I think it makes a difference because those pages glow when you look at it, and it's the first black and white comic I've read in a long time where when I think about it, I see it in color just because the inking is so good, you know.
Oh, we got some comments out there. Anybody, if you're watching and you got questions for Kirt, bring them on. We're going to talk a little bit more before we wrap this up. But if you got any questions, we're happy to, for Kirt or me or whoever, bring them on.
You know, I need to work on my pitching skills and my salesmanship.
You do, Kirt. Damn, you do. You need to sell yourself better because I'll say this because
hey, you know, it's a lifelong problem. But let's get to the root of it.
Well, let me tell you this. What I see, the work I see from Kirt Burdick is super high quality comics storytelling that I think is good enough to be published by any of the mainstream publishers or indie publishers that are out there, the biggest names. I think probably the biggest problem that you're having is just they don't know about it because there's just an avalanche of things and stuff to look at.
Yeah, I hope that's the reason. But I mean, I would love to have a publisher. That would actually make my life a lot easier. But you know, I think for right now, because what you just said, you know, things are so glutted and it's so hard for publishers right now, anyways.
That's why I'm almost of a mind of like publisher schmublisher. You've already got the complete infrastructure to fund and deliver directly to patrons. So
I think
you don't need one.
Yeah. Well, luckily we're at a spot where we have the option of being able to do that in a relatively easy way. It's not like what, you know, the black and white boom had to do, where they just had to make it up on their own. We actually have the technological infrastructure to where there's companies that you could hire to be your distribution. You know, of course, all that takes money, but you know, so we're creatively, even though there's some definitely downsides with social media and you know, the world at large, we're also very lucky to be in a space where, you know, we can try a lot more things that previous generations haven't been able to.
It's easier than ever. Yeah, it's easier than ever.
Yeah. One of the things I was thinking about, if it's just if I just do Kickstarter as my publisher, so to speak, you know, it does give me a little bit more freedom to, like, say if I decide, okay, I want issue 5 to be a horizontal format as opposed to a vertical format, or, you know, it could be a mini comic. So, you know, I'm not necessarily tied down to a page number or aspect ratio, which I think, you know, that is something that I think could be really, really interesting to do. Obviously, that would make collections a little bit more difficult, but you know,
it's been done. Dave Sim did it. Others have done it, and
yeah. So that's what I've been thinking about. There's a lot of things we can try as creatives, and we should, you know.
Well, what I think that you get here too is in the old days, they would say, the publisher would go, "You're not ready. Maybe try publishing yourself." And then that was such a barrier to even publish and get a printed thing. Right. But now, like you're saying, with crowdfunding and Kickstarter, you don't just have now. You were able to produce this, paid for. You've got this physical thing you can now shop around and put in the hands of other people to either buy your stuff or maybe to publish you. And you can also point to a successful crowdfunding campaign and show quantifiable results of how many people paid money for a Kirt Burdick comic back before before you blew up and became the world-renowned cartoonist that you've become.
Right. No, I mean, I can dream.
I think you don't get there without being here. First,
I think really it seems like you have to just do your own crowdfunding now.
That's it.
And then ideally, I mean, if I could get to a point where I could survive off of that, that would be ideal. And then you have complete ownership. There's no scummy back end deals when Galacto Pit Fighter, the video game, comes out and you forgot you signed away the digital IP to you know what I mean? Like, that's a good point. That's a good point. So it's definitely harder, I think, to rise above the noise now, just because there's a lot more noise. But the issues of right ownership of your creative property and the ability to get it to your audience is better than it's probably been, ever before, I imagine. But,
Well, those tools are available. Some people are using them better than others.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But here's the thing. Anybody can be good at social media. Anybody can be good at setting up a Kickstarter and maybe even making a video and a whatever. Not everybody is good at drawing comics like Kirt Burdick draws comics. Kurt.
Thank you, man.
So you have like the insurmountable Lego. You can catch up with those other creeps with that other stuff.
Yeah.
They've got
those creeps
30 years of drawing to catch up on to get to where Kirt Burdick is, in my opinion. Because I think, dude, you've got all the tools and talents to make a comic anybody wants to read. I really enjoy your stuff.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man. I think people are going to get a blast out of Galacto Pit Fighter. It's going to be something unlike a lot of what's out there. If you're a fan of Takeshi Miike and Sam Raimi, Takeshi Miike is an exploitation Japanese film director.
Okay.
I don't go,
you seem film influenced beyond anything. Like when I said, "What is your original comics?" You're like, "Oh, I made movies into comics." You really, if you were in the back of your mind is a thought like, "Oh man, I would love like Sam Raimi could take this, like if he optioned this, and that would be a dream come true for you, Kurt."
No, because I don't think so. I think I want to make the comic. I want it to be a personal comic experience.
Yes.
Because the cool thing about a comic book, as opposed to a movie, is that not only can you go from prose to 100% prose at little bit of what I did in Fey Archaic to a storyboard. So you can show a fuller vision of what you're imagining as a comic book than I think than any other medium.
You're passing the test, Kurt. That's the right answer to that question, by the way. Thank you.
Movies are good for advertising. Now imagine like Rick, what's his name? What's that guy's name? Kirkman? I'm sure he sold a ton of Invincible comics because of the Invincible cartoon, which he did absolutely fantastic job with. I mean,
and Walking Dead too, but he treats the comic first and foremost as its own thing and understands the differences in those.
Yeah. And so I get kind of, I have a little chip on my shoulder about people who, I mean, it's totally understandable. But the people who are like, yeah, you know, when I get my comic done, I'll get the movie deal. And I don't, you know, or, you know, but, you know, there's a lot of people who hire comic artists. And I've worked on one project for a guy who's trying to sell his you know, script. You know, it's totally fine. I mean, it's totally understandable, and it's definitely
not fine. It's understandable. It's not fine. Those guys, occasionally they're going to succeed, like Men in Black or whatever, right? There's occasionally somebody makes a comic that really nobody cared about, and that concept turned into something else. Yeah. That's a crapshoot of crapshoots that who cares about.
I think it's misguided because there's so much about having that personal experience with the creative work of a comic book or a book, you know, but books don't have pictures, and that's why they suck.
Agreed. Oh man, Kirt. All right, you've hit, you pushed all the right buttons for me here. Wait a minute. I got to get out of here.
Okay.
And back to the Batcave for a second. Kirt, I want to thank you for your time. Anything you want to pitch anywhere you want to send people besides we sent them to your Kickstarter?
Oh,
and you just got a backer as we were watching, somebody backed your campaign.
Yeah, no, just my Kickstarter. Get in on the ground floor of Galacto Pit Fighter. It's going to be on Netflix in 2025.
Maybe, right? But who cares? Here's a great example. How about you make a great comic and then they make a show and then they make a show as crappy as Jupiter's Legacy was.
I haven't watched it. I'm not going to.
Do yourself a favor. Read the comic or go watch Electro Woman and Dyna Girl, because both of those look better than.
Really? They blew it, huh? They blew it on the Jupiter's Legacy?
Well, on the costumes and special effects, it just looks, it's just
bummer.
Blah.
Yeah, there's that too, man. You know, because it's. I actually haven't read Jupiter's Legacy, but I like Mark Miller, and I am blanking on the artist, but he's great.
Frank Quitely.
Yes, Frank Quitely. Frank Quitely is one of the best artists in the business right now. And
perfect example though of how a guy's pencil can outdo millions of dollars in costumes and budgets and special effects and whatever.
I was trying to see if I could put some hair on. Yeah, there we go.
Right in the middle, Kirt.
God damn it!
It's tough because it's not mirrored. You're used to a mirror.
Nice. There we go. You got hair. All right, sorry.
Oh man, Kirt, thank you for checking for being here. Thanks for bringing the stuff. Thanks for watching the show and bringing your stuff to my attention.
Yeah, thank you, man. And you know, I've obviously been, you know, spending a lot of time by myself and not talking to people, seeing how I'm acting. But no, I really appreciate it, and I think I hope people get a kick out of Galacto Pit Fighter. It's gonna be an intense experience, but I think one that people are gonna like.
Okay, well, take that cooped up craziness and channel it into the page and into the comics.
All right,
keep putting good stuff. Thank you, Kirt.
Yeah, thank you, man. It was awesome.
Oh man, what else was awesome? What was awesome was you coming and checking out this show. Next week, I've got more exciting stuff planned, but I don't know. I don't have it confirmed yet. I think I'm going to have the return of somebody that we've had on recently. Pat Mills wrote me, and he's got some stuff that he wants to talk about, some comics that he wants to discuss. And I'm like, heck yeah, I'll talk with Pat Mills. That's like getting a call from, who's that like getting a call from? I don't know. It's like getting a call from somebody super freaking cool and amazing in an industry that you love, like whose comics that you read for years and years and years, and you can't believe he's sending you an email, wants to talk with you. That feels good. It felt really good to have. Recently, we did some super sweet interviews. I'm really happy with the recent Brian Hitch interview that I did and the Marky Vanier video that I did. Both had some audio problems that I'm trying to work on. But otherwise, what great guests and what amazing stuff they talked about. And both of those guys have talked about wanting to come back on the show again. And they were only willing to come on the show because they had seen it before and they watched it and they're like, okay, yeah, this seems like something I want to do. And that means a lot to me. I mean, I don't have hundreds of thousands of subscribers. My last show had a humongous audience of people that just wanted to crap on me, that just like seemed to think that expressing any kind of disagreement with their cult leader was like just worth bringing down, just scurrilous, ridiculous kind of nonsensical arguments. I kept all of the comments and all of the chat on. I suggest you go check out that interview and just look at what I have to deal with. But I don't care. It's fun. I like talking about comics. I like the culture of comics, even when it's messy and dirty. Like, this is part of what we're living in. I'm thinking about working on a documentary just about the parallel worlds that have developed in the comic book universe, as well as just in our normal political discourse, and how, like, I don't know what we do to fix that stuff. I don't know. I think the only way to try and fix it is to like talk about things openly and honestly, and that's what we do here. So thank you for watching. Thanks for subscribing and liking. Hey, click don't like if you didn't like it, but put a comment down there and tell me why. And just don't call me an SJW or whatever you want, soy boy or whatever, because I'm sick of that. Okay. So come on back next time. Stick around for the closing credits. I got to play the closing credits to pay the bills. And then we've got a little tiny comic book cameo, as usual, at the end of the credits, like any good comic book movie. So stick around and check that out. Come back for maybe Pat Mills, maybe $1 Million Mailbox with Larry. I don't know. Either way, come back next time.